In this tutorial, I'll show you how to enrich Involve Me contacts automatically using Zapier. We'll collect a lead's name and company through a funnel, send those details to Dropcontact to find additional professional information, and then update the contact in Involve Me. We've also added a ready-to-use Zapier contact enrichment templates in the description below if you'd like to start from an existing setup. The same workflow structure can also be adapted for other enrichment providers available in Zapier. In this tutorial, we'll use a growth audit funnel to collect and qualify new business leads before enriching their contact information. You can build a funnel like this with the Involve Me AI agent by simply describing what you want, and it will help create the pages, questions, content, and design for you. Our funnel starts by asking participants about their growth goals and current business priorities. Next, they choose their role, company size, and their biggest growth challenge. At the end, we collect their name and company details for the enrichment workflow. In this setup, we don't ask for the participant's email in the funnel. Dropcontact uses their name and company details to find their work email and other business information, which we then add back to the contact in Involve Me. You could also collect the email directly and use enrichment to add details like job role, company information, or location. Before setting up the workflow, we need a completed submission for Zapier to retrieve as sample data. We'll open the funnel in preview and go through it as a participant, selecting answers for the growth goal, role, company size, and main challenge. At the end, we'll enter contact details and submit it. This gives Zapier a recent completed submission, containing a participant, details, and answers. We need to configure and test each step of the enrichment workflow. Now that we have a test submission, we can connect the funnel to Zapier. From the Connect tab, search for Zapier and click Connect. Once the connection is established, Zapier displays the workflows already associated with the account. Click Create Workflow to open a new Zap. Before configuring the steps, give the workflow a clear name so it's easy to recognize among your other workflows. We'll start by clicking the trigger step and selecting Involve Me as the trigger app, because we want a completed funnel submission to start the workflow. For the trigger event, choose New Completed Submission. This means the workflow will start whenever someone completes the selected Involve Me funnel. Next, choose your Involve Me account connected to the funnel you want to use. Then, in the Configure step, select the funnel you want to use. We'll choose our B2B growth audit funnel and continue again. Now we can test the trigger. Zapier should pull in the preview submission we created earlier, along with the participant details and answers we'll need for the enrichment steps. Now that the trigger is set up, we'll add our first action and select Dropcontact. We're using Dropcontact for this tutorial, but it's just one of several enrichment tools you can connect through Zapier. Other options we tested include Full Enrich and People Data Labs, and we've also created templates for some of these workflows. For the action event, choose Enrich Contact, then select or connect your Dropcontact account and continue. If you don't have a Dropcontact account yet, create one first, then return to Zapier and connect it here. Next, we'll map the information from our Involve Me submission to the matching Dropcontact fields. Since our funnel collects the participant's first name, last name, and company name, we'll use those details to help Dropcontact identify and enrich the contact. This is where the sample submission we retrieved earlier becomes useful, because its values are now available for us to select and map. Once the fields are mapped, click Test Step to send the sample contact to Dropcontact. If a match is found, Dropcontact returns the available enriched information, such as the participant's work email and additional company details. The information returned can vary depending on what Dropcontact is able to match. Now we'll add another Involve Me action so we can send the enriched information back and update the contact with the new details. For the action event, choose Create or Update Contact. This lets us take the information returned by Dropcontact, such as the work email and company details, and save it directly to the contact in Involve Me. Next, select the Involve Me organization where the contact should be created or updated. Then, map the information we already collected in the new completed submission step, starting with the participant's first name, last name, and company name. These are the details that came directly from the funnel submission. We'll keep those original values and combine them with the enriched information returned by Dropcontact in the next fields. For the email field, we'll use the work email returned by Dropcontact. This is the key piece of information we didn't collect in the funnel, so we'll map it here to complete the contact record in Involve Me. Next, add the new details returned by Dropcontact, such as a phone number, company address, or any other enriched information you want to keep. These values come from the enrichment step, so we can choose which ones are useful for our contact record and map them to the corresponding fields in Involve Me. This gives us a more complete contact profile without asking the participant to enter all of that information manually. Once everything is mapped, take a moment to review the information and make sure each value is going into the correct contact field. Then click Continue to move to the test step. Here, Zapier shows the data that will be sent back to Involve Me. Click Test Step to run it. If the test is successful, we'll know the enriched contact can be created or updated correctly before moving on. Next, we'll add one more Involve Me action so we can clearly identify contacts that were successfully enriched. For the action event, choose Add Contact Tag, then select the Involve Me account connected to this funnel and continue. In the Configure step, select the same organization. For the email field, use the work email returned by Dropcontact so Zapier knows which contact should receive the tag. Then enter a tag name. We'll use Enriched Dropcontact. This makes enriched contacts easy to recognize and Involve Me and can also help with filtering, segmentation, or future workflows. Once everything is set, click Test Step to make sure Zapier can find the contact and apply the tag successfully. This confirms the final action is working before we test the complete workflow. Now that all 4 steps are configured, click Test Run to test the entire workflow from start to finish. Zapier will take the sample submission through each step, from the Involve Me trigger to Dropcontact enrichment, back to the updated Involve Me contact, and finally, the enrichment tag. If every step completes successfully, Zapier confirms that the full workflow is working correctly. Next, click Publish to activate the Zap. Zapier will prepare the workflow and switch it live, so future completed submissions can automatically run through the same enrichment process. Once the Zap is published, close the workflow and return to Involve Me. The new Zapier workflow appears in the connection list and is switched on. Save to confirm the setup. Back in the Connect tab, we can see that Zapier is now connected to the funnel. From here, we'll return to the editor, publish the funnel, and run a live submission to test the enrichment workflow. We'll publish the funnel and open the live version to run a real submission through the complete workflow. Once publishing is finished, the funnel is ready to accept live responses, and our Zapier connection is active in the background. Then we can open the funnel and submit a new test entry. We'll go through the funnel just like a participant, choosing a growth goal, role, company size, and main challenge. At the end, we'll enter a first name, last name, and company name. Since the contact form only asks for their name and company, the enrichment workflow will use those details to find the participant's work email and additional business information. Then we'll submit the form. Once the live submission is complete, go to Responses in Involve Me and open Responses. In Analytics, go to the Responses tab and select the new submission. Under Integration, the status may initially show Pending. This means Zapier has received the submission and the enrichment workflow is still processing. It can take a few seconds for all the steps to finish. Once the status changes to Successful, we know the submission was processed by Zapier and the enrichment workflow completed without errors. To confirm the result, we'll go back to our Projects page and open Contacts from the menu at the top. Here, we can use the filters to find contacts based on different properties. We'll click Filter, then Add Filter. From the available filter options, Choose Has Tag, since we want to find contacts with a specific tag. Then select the enriched drop contact tag we created in our Zapier workflow. Now we can see the test participant we just submitted. Open the contact to view the full details. Here, we can see the original name and company information, together with the work email and additional address details returned by Dropcontact. We can also see the enriched Dropcontact tag attached to the contact. This confirms that the enrichment workflow ran successfully and the enriched information was saved back to InvolveMe. That's it. We connected an InvolveMe funnel to Zapier, enriched the submitted contact with Dropcontact, sent the new information back to InvolveMe, and added a tag so enriched contacts are easy to identify. You can use the same setup to automatically build more complete contact profiles and make lead segmentation and follow-up easier. Thanks for watching.